Hey, what's up? And welcome into Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Thanks so much for downloading the podcast and checking us out on YouTube, youtube.com. Look for Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment to everything we do. With Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood, brought to you by the fine folks over at the Advantage Dealer Group in River Oaks in Calumet City. I have a question for you. And the question is, why does buying a car feel like Game 7 pressure? It shouldn't. That's why I roll with Advantage Toyota in River Oaks. Listen, I'm from the area, Calumet City, River Oaks. This is home. So when I tell you go here, it definitely matters. No mystery math, no marathon sessions, just real numbers, straight answers, and people who actually take care of you. Mo is the general manager. They're very, very good people. He, as well as Janet, they help me through the process. So go see them and tell them J Hood sent you. They'll take care of you like they took care of me. Find your advantage at Advantage Toyota in River Oaks. It's in Calumet City. Let me tell you what I'm driving right now. First of all, you come to the lot right there, Advantage Toyota in Calumet City, and I'm driving right now, that right there, a Toyota Tundra Capstone. It is a sweet ride. That's what I'm driving right now, thanks to the people over at the Advantage Dealer Group, Advantage River Oaks in Calumet City. You ready to get yourself a new truck or a new car in 2026? Find your advantage at the Advantage Dealer Group, River Oaks, and they'll take care of you. That is for sure. Today, we will talk Major League Baseball with our buddy Russ Dorsey. He's got a great podcast. It's The Relay with Russ Dorsey. He supports us, so I want you to support him. Great baseball content, not only on The Relay podcast, but also from Apple TV and Yahoo Sports, where you can read his columns. So we'll get a chance to talk to him. Oh, by the way, I want to tell you about something else before we talk to Russ, and now he's standing by. I want to talk to you about something special that's happening on the Cap and J Hood Morning Show. You can find me on the Cap and J Hood Morning Show weekday morning, 6 to 9 a.m. Central on ESPN 1000. You can also download the ESPN Chicago app. That way you can always check out our shows. We have a podcast as well. But let me tell you, we are going to Miami, Florida. Oh, man, we're going to Miami, Florida, thanks to the people at True Fan Travel. True Fan and the Cap and J Hood Morning Show are teaming up for the ultimate warm weather getaway to see the Bears take on the Miami Dolphins in Miami in December. Travel packages are available right now. There's a QR code that you can go to, but go to truefantravel.com and reserve your spot. Also, we're kicking it on a yacht. We're going to be on a yacht that same weekend. So make sure that you are locked in. So let me tell you, last year, the Cap and J Hood Morning Show, all of us at ESPN Chicago, we were in Las Vegas to see the Bears take on the Raiders. And it was just a great time because it wasn't just the crew from ESPN Chicago. It's listeners, it's partners. Everybody was there and had a great time in Vegas. So now we're going to take that particular party and bring it now to Miami, Florida. It's going to be so great. So make sure you make your plans now. I'm telling you about this in late June, but the event's going to take place in middle of December. Can you imagine how cold it's going to be in the Midwest? And imagine to be able to get your butt down to Miami to check out the Bears and the Dolphins. If you go to truefantravel.com, you can see all the logistics and everything that's going to happen there. But it's always a great time hanging out with you, hanging out with partners as well. Truefantravel.com as we go to Miami, Florida. That's going to be great to check out the Bears beating down the Miami Dolphins. How about a little the yacht as well? We have a yacht party that's going to take place, I believe, that Friday, right before the Bears and Dolphins game. So I just want you to know about it. If you hadn't heard, truefantravel.com is where you go. Let's talk some baseball, Cubs, Sox, and everything else around Major League Baseball with Russ Dorsey as we do this here on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. So glad to have you with us here on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. It is time for everyone to see the man, my guy. When I need baseball conversation, when I need to find out what's going on in Major League Baseball, I go to Russ Dorsey. There he is, everybody, from Apple TV and Yahoo Sports. The podcast, The Relay, is available now for wherever you get your podcast. Look for The Relay with Russ Dorsey. He joins us right now on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Sir, as always, I appreciate the time.
What's going on, Hoodie? How we doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing wonderful. You know why? Because now I can be able to get The Relay merchandise. So please tell people where we can be able to get that cool, kind of old school, cool merchandise that you have for The Relay.
Yeah, we got a partnership. Since the last time we spoke, Hoodie, we got us a little partnership with BSN Sports. Shout out to them. If you would like the Relay with Russ Dorsey merch, you can get it. Go to my Instagram, my Twitter, the podcast Instagram. Find the link for BSN Sports. We have hoodies, t-shirts, joggers, the whole shebang. If you want Russ Dorsey merch, you can find it there. But yeah, we finally got merch to go along with the great baseball talk.
And cups too. If you have those cups too,
there are cups that are not those cups. We have drinkable cups, not the ones that Jazz Chisholm did not have the other night.
Jazz Chisholm told on himself with that. There's something that I didn't need to know, and now I know based on
Here's
him
the thing, Hoodie.
taking himself out of the ball game.
It's a lot of dudes out here with no cup. Like a lot of those infielders are like, I'm cool, man. Outfielders where it's like, oh, the ball's not being hit that hard at me. Like, I just won't wear one. So you just got the catcher out there, the only guy wearing one, and he taking more hits than anybody.
I don't know if I've ever seen that before. That it's just so bad down there that you have to leave the ball game. I've never seen that before. Like he was in trouble, bent over, and just like had to leave. Like, no, I can never recover. My blank and blank are just not working for me right now.
Yeah, so I've had a couple players tell me that they've gotten bad ones where it's called a torsion, where the boys twist on you and you got to go to the hospital. Or also you take one at the right angle and it swells to a point where you need to go to the hospital. Like I know a couple players that have had those. I know some catchers for sure that have had to go see the doc because things had swollen to the point where you're starting to get concerned. Ooh. And so, yeah, man, like it only takes one for you to say, okay, never again. Even though Jazz said he's gonna keep rocking no cup out here.
He's just a fool. Just free balling, playing baseball makes no sense to me.
Wild boy.
He is wild
boy. Like brothers out here hitting the ball 110 off the ground. I don't know if I could take those risks.
Like if it was Maddox, maybe, but the guys that are throwing 100, yeah, that's not working. So I don't understand. So ultimately, we're just telling you to check out the merchandise,
please,
from the Relay with Russ Dorsey. That's how this all started.
Yes,
available
sir.
Now, where you get your podcast, the Relay with Russ Dorsey. You recently talked about Pete Crow Armstrong, and so what a story, right? I made the controversial statement on ESPN Chicago that at the beginning of the season, I didn't think that Pete Crow Armstrong was a star on the Cubs. Because I said, if you hit 8th or 9th, are you really a star? And boy, the ascension from being at the bottom of the lineup and struggling like the rest of the Cubs to be at the top of the lineup and doing what he's doing right now, it's amazing. Can you put into perspective this polarizing Cub and what he's been doing as of late?
I mean, Hoodie, I can't fault you for saying what you said. Like, I think you look at a guy in Pete Crow Armstrong who second half last year after the monster first half, you saw a guy that was really struggling, struggling to be consistent, struggling to just put the ball in play, despite the fact that he is an all-world defender in center field. You're like, okay, I don't know if you can look at PCA as being a foundational piece of your lineup if this is the version you're going to get. And then that carried over into the postseason. And we saw a lot of that guy in the early part, the first 6 weeks or so, first 6 to 8 weeks in the first half. But since then, you've seen a guy that has taken all of those struggles and said, I know I'm a better player than this. And he's shown that. He's really doing what you hope every young player or player goes and does when they have struggles. It's they can take those struggles and then they can find the adjustment they need to make, and they can make it. And PCA, since May 20th, is hitting almost 400 with an on-base percentage of almost 500 with a slugging percentage of almost 800. And what he's been able to do while continuing to be a all-world center fielder after the altercation with the fan on the south side, which was really one of the launching points of this, because at that point, Hoodie, things that was the end of the downward spiral where it's like, okay, now he's getting into it with fans. There were some defensive miscues that same week where you're like, okay, where is PCA's head at? And was able to take all of those things and put it into being the best version of himself. And now you're getting to see a guy who's playing like a top 5 player in the sport.
Yeah, so as the Cubs team is going through it, man, with their pitching staff, it's a mash unit at this point in time. So you're missing Ben Brown, and also you're missing Cabrera trying to be an Olympian, trying to cover first base. He does the splits. He's got being taken off
Everybody
from
can't do the splits, man.
No. I've had girlfriends that couldn't do the splits. So why does Cabrera think he can?
If you're not in Pilates and you're not in yoga, don't do the splits.
So why did Cabrera think he could? So this is bad for the Chicago Cubs. All the expectations, they thought that Cabrera and Bregman would be the elixir to kind of fix some of the underachievement from the Cubs last year. And Russ, it's not working. So I'd like to know, when can Jed Hoyer determine if the Cubs are buyers or sellers at this time? Because even though they're lingering around a playoff spot, you just know that's not sustainable with inconsistent offense.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this the last couple of days, Hoodie, because I look at the Cubs and I say, in my heart of hearts, do I think that this is a contender? And with the way the offense has performed and the way their starting pitching has deteriorated with all the different injuries, I keep coming back to no. And I get to this point where I say, for Jed, yeah, you put this thing together thinking that this was a National League contender, one of the better teams in the National League, one of the best teams in Major League Baseball. And we're now at a point, Hoodie, where you can't keep doing we're going to get better, we're going to get better, we're going to get better. We're about to be in July. Like, July starts next week. We're going to be at the All-Star break, and the deadline will be here in about 5.5, 6 weeks. So at some point, you really have to turn it on. And for the Cubs, they've been in this month where they didn't have the toughest schedule, right? They didn't have to go through this gauntlet of teams in the month of June, and they've left a lot to be desired when it comes to the teams that they played and how they've performed. And now you add the Ben Brown injury to that, the guy who's been your best starter this year. You add the Edward Cabrera injury to that. Colin Ray's out there still doing the best he can to hold things together, even though this wasn't the role that you thought he would be in. It's hard for me to believe that with the offensive inconsistencies and the litany of injuries they now have, that they will be able to sustain any level of winning consistently going forward, just because it's just really hard to do. It's really hard to win when you don't have high level starting pitching down the stretch.
So I look at this Cubs team and everything they put into it. I just got a feeling, Russ, that they might have to unplug this thing some, because they are bereft of a lot of quality in the minor league system. They're not the White Sox, where they still have more. It's like a third base coach, just waving more young talent around. I think that there's a crossroads there where Jed will have to go to Tom Ricketts and say, yeah, we didn't get it done this year. Can you just give us a little bit more money? And it's like, I can't give you more money. I think that there's going to be a stoppage of, quality money going to the Cubs, because it is what it is. You got to get healthy. Cade Horton, by the way, will not be available to start the season, or if the season at all, something that they depended on the starting rotation. So it's they're in a flux, the Cubs, right now.
Yeah, and like their top pitching prospect has been injured most of the first half, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that is a guy that you thought would hopefully help you here down the stretch, and he's just now starting to throw here as we get to the end of June. The Cade Horton injury was huge, right? Not having him is significant. The fact that you thought Justin Steele would be back at this point, had a setback, and now you're saying, we just hope he can give us any type of innings at some point in the second half, where you're not even putting a timeline on it, like, hey, when he's 100%, then we'll talk about what the role looks like, but it likely won't be starting. I think that tells you everything you need to know about what they expect out of Justin Steele this year. And for his sake, like, sometimes you put that pressure on yourself, like, I got to get back. I got to get back. I got to get back. You never know if that's part of the setback or if that's just something that happens, an unlucky break for him. And so, yeah, I look at this team and you just kind of wonder, like, where are the reinforcements? And they have so many guys that they've invested real money into, right? Like, they gave not one but two long-term extensions at the beginning of the season to PCA and Nico Horner. And Nico was the one that you had certainty on, right?
Yes.
Nico was the guy that was slump proof, and he's now had a really long cold stretch here to finish off the first half. And so, Alex Bregman has not played like the player you have paid him to be. That's been a really big part of this lineup not getting things going. Ian Happ, who's been a Cub for a long time and is a lot better of a player than he gets credit for,
Sure.
when you look at the body of work. But even this year, like, there has been moments where, Ian probably wants to be better than he has shown. With all of those different guys, Hoodie, and you talk about Seiya Suzuki has had, after a hot start when he came off the IL, just a long stretch of not playing well. There's just too many holes in the lineup where you didn't think that you would have holes or question marks.
Cubs and Brewers, by the way, Friday on Apple TV.
Yes,
Mizorowski
sir.
pitching for the Brewers. I will be there at that game.
As you should.
Saw him at Wrigley. Doctor, let me tell you something. Hadn't seen anything like that. Now this is your dad's portion of the podcast. We talk about the White Sox.
Yeah.
Shout out to Mr. Dorsey, my guy. I want to talk a little bit about the Sox. What a story, right? And this is what we love about sports, because we turn on a game or we read stories about things that we did not expect, and the White Sox come out of nowhere. I want to know what you like most about the start for the White Sox so far this season.
A couple of things. One, Sox can bang, right? Like, they hit the ball at the ballpark. And when you're talking about how teams become successful in Major League Baseball, not 100% of the time, but very often, ball go far, team go far. And when you're talking about building a winner, you want to have some slug in there. And the White Sox have proven that they can win that way. They've gotten themselves to a point where we're almost at the end of June, and they have a lead in the American League Central. They are atop the AL Central. They believe in that clubhouse that they can go out there and beat anybody. There were so many times over the last couple of years where, especially the later part of last year, you could see signs of them building something from a culture standpoint. And now they have some talent in that room as well to say, yeah, we don't not only believe in each other, but we believe that we can go out there and produce on the field. And so having that youthful confidence and showing that you can win and beat really good teams, the White Sox have proven to themselves that, okay, yeah, this is happening a little bit sooner than we expect. And yeah, we might need to augment this thing a little bit with some starting pitching, but we have young position players that produce. We're going to get Munetaka Murakami, who was one of the best stories of the first half, back here before the All-Star break. And you're going to be able to go into the second half feeling like you have a good shot at winning the American League Central this year. And so that's why they've been the best story in Major League Baseball. And it's bringing people back to the ballpark. I was, at the ballpark with my family last night, and they got over 28,000 on the South Side on a Tuesday night against the Cleveland Guardians. So to get that type of buy-in from the fan base where they're like, no, we kind of believe in this team now, I think that's great for the city of Chicago. And it's great when you have, a good White Sox team after, they lost 121 games 2 seasons ago, Hoodie.
Yeah.
Worst record in the history of Major League Baseball. And so it has been a really significant turn on the South Side.
Yes, the South Side fans usually say, I gotta get up in the morning. I go to the plant. I gotta take my kid to school. I ain't got time, right? They're kind of on the middle of the week. Nah, They came out there. They understood, because there's a winning, exciting product out there. And like, as a lifelong White Sox fan, I've seen the ebb and flow of bad seasons, and all of a sudden the kids are all right, and the kids start playing together. The hope is it's sustainable. And the same thing, I asked you about Jed, the same thing with Chris Getz. I wonder what he looks at by the time we get to the deadline. If the White Sox are still lingering around first place, could be a playoff team. I wonder how far is he willing to mortgage the future for the present? That's a big question.
You can't, and I've been talking about this with people a lot when it comes to the White Sox, because the thing that happens for Sox fans out there is now you see that, oh, this could really be a thing. And now instead of talking about who you're going to trade away at the deadline, it's like, okay, who are you going to bring in? And I think what's really vital and important for the Chicago White Sox is this. Yes, this season has been fun. Yes, you have yourself in a position where you can really envision yourself making the postseason, either as an AL wildcard team or as the AL Central Division champion. However, the job is not complete when it comes to really building this thing back up just yet, right? Like, this was still supposed to be a build year. This was a year, and I talked about it with you on the podcast the last time I was on, like, you're thinking 79, 80 wins would be, the right stair step for the White Sox coming off of how they finished 2025. And now you're saying, oh, this might be close to 85 to 87 wins. What do you add without mortgaging your future? That has to be the thought process for Chris Getz of, okay, yes, we can add some starting pitching that won't cost us the top end of our prospect capital. You can add some guys in the bullpen without really damaging what you've built in your farm system. That has to be the focus and the goal. And those are the two areas where I would look to add, like adding in the bullpen, adding to, the starting rotation, because they've relied a lot on youth, not only on the position player side, but on the starting pitching side as well. And Davis Martin had one hell of a first half. It's come back to earth a little bit here over the last 3 to 4 weeks. So you want to be able to bring in some reinforcements where he doesn't have to go out there and feel like he has to throw 7 shutout innings every 5th day. To have another veteran in that mix so that some of those young guys can do their thing without feeling that pressure of having to do it every 5th day, I think those things are really important.
Column idea. You ready? Write this down.
Yes, sir.
Column idea. My thought, sir, is that the Cardinals, the White Sox, the Rays, and the Phillies are more of an interesting story than the best in baseball, like the Yankees, the Braves, and the Dodgers. How about that as a take? Like,
I wouldn't disagree with that.
Sox come out of nowhere, one of the best stories in baseball. Cardinals, all I kept hearing in St. Louis, John Rooney, we're young. We won't be able to make it this year, Johnny. And it's just like, now you're really good, right? Rays, always plucky, always interesting, keeping themselves in the mix. And the Phillies fire their manager, and it's almost like they're playing for Rob Thompson, even though Rob Thompson isn't there. So I'll make the case that these stories that come out of nowhere are more interesting than the champs, the Yankees, and the Braves.
I'll add one more in for that in that group. The Washington Nationals, who were going into year 1, not even with the White Sox or the Cardinals, year 1 of a rebuild under Paul Taboni, and are leading baseball in runs scored. And that's now you're Paul Taboni, and you're like, we were really supposed to tear this thing down, man. And now, like, what do I stand pat? Like, do we add ? And I would say the same thing to Paul. Like, you can't tear down what you've been trying to build because that process is not complete just yet. And when you're trying to build a sustainable winner, you can't punt on your future. And especially in terms of the American League this year, where it is not very good, you can't punt on your future because you're in a bad American League. Right? Like, that's and I would tell Chris that, like, punting on your future because you get to play in a bad American League in 2026, that wouldn't be doing the job to the best of your ability. You could take advantage of a bad American League, which I think those Sox are going to do and have been doing by winning ball games. But you also have to realize that, hey, 2027, 2028, we expect to be better than we are right now. And some of those players at the top of our farm system are going to be a part of that. So if there is a way that you can add, which you can without trading, Tanner McDougal, Hagen Smith, guys like that, that is what you need to be able to focus on as you go into the trade deadline in this next 6 weeks.
Yeah, check out Russ's column that he just wrote talking about some of the untradables. There's some names that you cannot touch. So that's Russ's latest column. Check it out where you find Russ's column, Yahoo. And I do want to ask you about something that's very itchy and uncomfortable, I think, for some. I'm not asking you for an answer, but I just need to talk to somebody about it, and that's Buster Posey. I watched that press conference yesterday.
Oh, man. Buster, he struggled a little bit.
So for those that don't know, there were some players on the San Francisco Giants that refused to wear the pride hats, the San
Yeah.
Francisco Giants pride hats. And I'm just wondering, like, what should be the best course of action for the Giants? I mean, I watched that press conference. He didn't want to touch it. Posey said there was a release that was out, and he didn't want to. And there was like 8 or 9 times where reporters just wanted to get his thoughts on why didn't your players support the Pride movement or Pride
Mhm.
Month by wearing the Giants pride hats? And so, is this on the team? Is this on the commissioner? What's the best course of action to get around this? Because this is difficult, I'm sure, for the Giants.
Yeah, especially in San Francisco of all places. I think this is something that you have there would I think there was definitely a wrong way to go about it, which I think how Buster handled it wasn't great, and doing the whole, we have a statement out. I think it's really easy to say, "Hey, I appreciate one that we're very accepting of all people and everybody's welcome at the ballpark. We have some players that have some different beliefs, but we as an organization believe that uh, everybody's welcome at the ballpark." And I think that would be a much better way to go about it. Who does it fall on? I think that is a question that Buster was probably asking himself yesterday, because it seemed like he wanted to pass that buck off to the organization made a statement or the commissioner made a statement, and then you get all these different factions that are just looking to say, see, for whatever side of that issue you want to fall on. But yeah, man, I think saying we everybody is welcome at the ballpark was a really important thing to be said,
Mhm.
for me personally, right? Like, you want the whole point of Pride Night is so that the LGBTQ plus community can feel like, hey man, y'all want to come watch the ball game? You can come watch the ball game,
Yeah.
right? Everybody's a fan here. Everybody's a baseball fan here, and you're accepted and can be yourself here at the ballpark and watch the game. And I think that was the most important thing to be said. And I think when you him and haw, it's a bad look. And it's one of those things where you watch that and you're like, I wish I had that moment back.
That it's always two things when the message is lost, Russ. It's either money or communication. And this is a communication issue. Like,
Mhm.
and also you talk to your players and find out who's comfortable with and who's not. That way your statement's ready.
Mhm.
Whatever it is. And it's not going to be accepted by everybody. It means we're in society. But San Francisco, as you mentioned in particular, that's not good. As a matter of
It
fact,
was
one of
the
the
one
broadcasters,
it's the place where you gotta that's a very high priority topic and issue. And I do think that was a moment where Buster was not prepared like he should have been prepared. And
that's
I think
bad.
it's one of those things where you look at some of the different things that have happened in San Francisco that aren't this, where it's like, how prepared were you for some of these other intricacies of the job outside of the baseball operation stuff of just being a communicator things,
Yeah.
where you're seeing like, there are some lapses here that were missed.
Mike Krukow, broadcaster, was not happy with it either. And he's been there forever. So just
Yeah.
like I just thought that was just I watched it and I was like, I wasn't uncomfortable. I watched it. I'm just like, Buster, you gonna say something? And he just kind of just
You
passed it
watch
off.
those things,
So
it's like, that was tough to
yeah,
watch. And
it
they
was. Yeah.
had a couple of them yesterday, not only with Buster, but with the Rafi Dever situation where
Yes.
he waved off the pinch runner and
Joey.
he
Yeah.
showed up his manager and then blamed the media for it. Like, both of those happening on the same day, really bad look for the Giants.
Vitello, will he make the season? Your sources, will he finish the season?
I I imagine he does. Like, I haven't talked to anybody in San Francisco about it. I'm going to say this. The Giants put Tony in a really bad spot.
Mhm.
Now, Tony said yes to the job. He could have had a statue built at Tennessee. Hey, he's the mayor there in Knoxville. He
Yeah.
decided to come be the manager. for the San Francisco Giants. Buster and company thought that was their splashy move. It has not gone well at all since the beginning of the season.
No.
And it was one of those rare times where you said it wasn't going to go well, and then it didn't go well. And all the reasons that you thought it wouldn't go well, it happened just that way. I think he's going to make it through the season just because we're at a point now where they're clearly a seller. They are a bad team, and it's not Tony's fault, right? They've underperformed. They have a lot of guys with bad money attached to them right now. That's not Tony. Tony's not out there throwing pitches. He's not out there swinging the bat. But I will also say it has not been a net positive having Tony as the manager. And I'm just not going to put all that blame on him. There are people that put this team together. There are people that thought he should be the manager of the San Francisco Giants. And so, yeah, I think he makes it through the rest of this season. I think it would be unfair to fire him in the middle of the season for something that is not entirely his fault.
Lastly, sir, and I appreciate your time, I just want you to get into a debate that was on ESPN Chicago on the Cap and J Hood Morning Show,
where you guys have one or two of those every once in a while.
it's like, yes. The debate was, for one game, would you rather see Mizorowski or would you rather see Maddox?
Oh, man.
Because now we're talking about different generations of appreciating 88 off the black, just the Bob Ross way of Greg Maddux pitching the way he did when he was in his prime with Atlanta, Cubs some, but definitely with Atlanta, and Mizorowski throwing at 105 miles an hour and just never tiring out, seemingly.
So a couple things there, Hoodie. Number one, I'm working on a story on Jacob Mizorowski right now. And the day we record your podcast, I actually interviewed his high school coach for about 35 minutes to try to find how this happened, right? What was 14-year-old Jacob Mizorowski like to become the dominant force that he is now? So for everybody out there, be on the lookout for that. But would I rather watch Greg Maddux with surgical precision attack the strike zone and get us out of there in an hour and 40 minutes? Or would I rather watch Jacob Mizorowski dominate with 105 and a 97-mile-an-hour slider? Sheesh, putting me on the spot here. I'll say this. What I saw Jacob Mizorowski do 2 weeks ago, where he threw a Maddox and had that dominating stuff and struck out 15 and did it in 95 pitches, that's a level of dominance that I've never seen before, right? Like to attack the strike zone and be able to say, okay, 0-2, I'm not going to throw a waste pitch here, right? Like I'm going to throw you this fastball because I know you can't hit it. Here's my fastball, Kyle Schwarber. Go sit down. Here's my slider, Bryce Harper. Go sit down. So if that answers the question, I'm going to watch the electric stuff because I know I've seen a guy that has transformed himself from a thrower of the baseball to one of the best pitchers on planet Earth and has done it in very short amount of time.
Mm-hmm. Speed kills. So, I mean, you love the artistry of what Maddox brought to the table, but also the reason why the answer is Miz is because Miz does not have Eric Gregg calling a pitch 8 inches off the plate.
Yeah.
like it was back in the day. Just put on YouTube, kids. Well,
there's a different level of precision that you have to have in the big leagues right now.
I understand that, but also the ball was 10 inches off the plate sometimes, right, and Max was getting those outside.
I can go do one of these.
Yeah, exactly.
I can just top my head and that's out the
zone. So there's always that too. With this, it's right on. It's a strike.
95 pitches for 15 strikeouts is unreal.
Now think about this. I'm old enough to remember Nolan Ryan and Fernando Valenzuela. Like when 100, balloons would fall from the sky like confetti when he threw 100. Now it's on a regular basis for everybody. But when I see the fast gun, slow gun, whatever, 104, 105, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, because the old time guys who we love them, they will say that, hey, that gun a little hot, man. Like, I don't know.
Gun's a little
Come
hot.
on, man. We not gonna hate, man. We can't hate, man. Like that brother doing some stuff we ain't seen before. We're not gonna do the whole the gun is hot thing. I know, because I love the veterans, man. I love the old school guys. But they were like, that gun's hot. Well, it's hot, and these brothers is not hitting it.
I want to know if that's what you're hearing around the cage quietly.
Now, I've talked to some of these older players who are in their 60s or 70s now, right? Where you catch and you ask them about it, and brothers, you can hear a little hate.
Of course. Of course.
When I hear like, man, well, the guns today is hot by a mile an hour or two, it's like, don't do that. Don't do. Just say that man's nasty. But I do think there's something when you start throwing around the hardest starting pitcher ever. I think those guys had such a reverence for Nolan Ryan that they don't want to disrespect him. Right. And some of those guys that threw hard in the early days, like I don't think saying that the Miz in the tracking that we have, like we have this technology now and we could track it. Like it's significant to be able to throw 103, 104 miles an hour in the ninth inning.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's God has attached a lightning bolt to your right arm.
Yeah, which is just amazing. The relay with Russ Dorsey is available now wherever you get your podcast. He's got merchandise too.
We do.
So that's why it's always good.
We don't have cups. We don't have cups.
We don't have that. So Jazz can't get that.
Sorry, Jazz.
Jazz told on himself there. I hope everyone enjoyed that. I think he did. Russ, as always, man, appreciate it. Don't forget Cubs and Brewers Friday on Apple TV. Sir, always enjoy the conversation.
My man. Thanks, Hoodie.
Great to hear from Russ Dorsey talking baseball with us. Great conversation. And, of course, we're brought to you by the fine folks over at, yes, there is a Toyota Tundra Capstone that I'm driving right now because of the people at Advantage. In Calumet City, check it out. In River Oaks Toyota, they give me the Advantage Dealer Group. One other thing I'd like to point out for those of you that want to know about our NBA draft coverage, we had that. We had LA. We had Charles Taylor on the show. We had an NBA draft show. We had this big old banner up here, like bam, right there, the Under the Hood draft show. It's available right now on podcast and right here on YouTube as well. If you missed our analysis about what Bryson Graham and the Chicago Bulls did, we have it for you right there on Under the Hood. And we got plenty of guests on to talk about as well. So we had it all covered. We did our draft show, talked about the number 4 pick for the Chicago Bulls and Caleb Wilson. We had Rob Eson, the head coach for the UIC Flames, on because there's a connection with him and Caleb Wilson and talking about the best players in the draft. And we talked about some other things. And also Jeff Fox was on with us, the voice of South Florida sports. He's got his YouTube channel. That's all available right now on YouTube and also the podcast as well. When we talked to him about Giannis Antetokounmpo going from the Milwaukee Bucks to the Miami Heat. So interesting conversations there. So we're covering everything NBA and draft this week. So thanks so much for checking that out. If you missed it, it's available right now. Make sure that you like, share, subscribe to everything we do on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. So long, everybody.